coming into this discussion today, I wanted to talk about general thoughts on the U.S.-Indian security relationship. So I wanted to say congratulations to Takshashila Institution for taking the lead in organizing this really important event here in Bangalore. It is significant that this interaction on India's security architecture is not taking place in New Delhi. Rather, that it is taking place here, which is the hub of Indian think tanks, and that is significant. And why is it significant? Because this is really where the analysts are starting to gather, and this is really where a lot of the work is taking place. And I know that some in Delhi may take a slight to that, but really, this is where it's starting to happen here in Bangalore. And so I think that Takshashila was really, really smart in having this conference here today. So I'm glad that we were able to gather here and have this conversation here today. Now, turning over to the security relationship, I want to say that partnerships in the areas of security and counterterrorism is a critical component of the U.S. strategic cooperation in India. The first round of the U.S.-India strategic dialogue was held in Washington, D.C. in June 2010. This dialogue was upgraded to a strategic and commercial dialogue last year. And last month, we concluded the second and most recent round of the U.S.-India strategic and commercial dialogue. This type of whole-of-government dialogue between our countries is unprecedented in U.S.-India relations, and I think many of you understand that. It is a testimony to the breadth and depth of our engagement and cooperation that almost every organ of the U.S. government is working with its Indian counterparts across almost every field of human endeavor. So what are these? It goes from counterterrorism to women's empowerment, from clean energy to food security, from science and technology to business and investment. I'm not overstating things when I say that our countries are working more broadly and closely together than ever before. Security defense cooperation is an important aspect of U.S.-India bilateral cooperation. Indians and Americans are no stranger to terrorism, unfortunately. From the streets of New York and Mumbai to the steps of the Pentagon and Indians' parliament, our citizens have been the targets of terrorists. But we've responded to this global menace with strength and resolve. And what's more clear than ever before is the importance of the United States and India working together to counter terror. This point was underscored by Secretary of State John Kerry when he was in Delhi last week. One cannot talk of coastal security in India without mention, as was said, of the terrible 26/11 attack in Mumbai. 26/11 was a turning point in counterterrorism partnership between India and the United States. In the aftermath of that horrific attack, the United States FBI took extraordinary measures to assist our Indian partners in Mumbai. This partnership has only strengthened over time, and the Bureau once again led the way, assisting Indian authorities after the Pentagon attack in January. Today, our counterterrorism cooperation has evolved into a multifaceted partnership. In July, our two governments convened the Counterterrorism Joint Working Group in Washington. Established 16 years ago, this is one of our oldest government-to-government dialogues. Our intelligence sharing has reached unprecedented levels. This is really crucial, because this doesn't happen with every country. And this has directly helped Indian security agencies foil potential attacks. We marked a major milestone in June with the signing of the HSPD-6, an agreement to share terrorist screening information. Our security personnel continue to train together and exchange best practices. In fact, the State Department's Anti-Terrorism Assistance Program has trained more than 2,500 Indian security personnel during the past 2 decades. Our strategic convergence on counterterrorism has never been closer. Last year, the United States and India signed a joint declaration on combating terrorism, which outlined a shared vision for countering terrorism cooperation and reiterated our concerns about terrorist groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba, the Haqqani Network, Jaish-e-Mohammed, and others. Across the board, our security cooperation is making our two nations and the world a safer place. But the nebulous and evolving nature of terrorism requires that we continuously revamp our approaches in order to stay ahead of emerging threats. Secretary Kerry said that when he was in New Delhi last month, the battle to counter and defeat violent extremists does not rest with any one nation and cannot be won by any single campaign. It's a global cause, and it requires consistent focus and persistent action. It is a global cause that requires us to adapt our tactics and continue to tackle these threats at every level. In the security of our airlines, cities, and ports, in the flow of money and arms across our borders, in the integrity of judicial and law enforcement personnel, in the battle of ideas waged in schools, houses of worship, and on social media. So, based on his words, once again, I'd like to thank Takshashila Institution for bringing us together here to brainstorm these ideas, bringing the diverse stakeholders together to really tackle these issues that are very timely today. I'm very happy that the Consulate could associate in this very important meeting. I appreciate Takshashila for pulling us all together today. Thank you for joining us here, and I very much look forward to the discussion that's going to happen here today. Thank you so much.